All right, another episode of Conversate After Dark. Tay, what's up with you?
Everything's good with me. What's going on with you?
Not much, not much. Tell people where they can find us.
You can find us at Conversate After Dark everywhere. And if you have a topic you want us to cover or you want to be a guest on a show, even if you want to be anonymous, you can reach us at CVAD the podcast at gmail.com.
That's right. You can also go to our website, conversateafterdark.com. You can listen to our old episodes. You can download them. You can also find us on all streaming sites, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you listen to your podcasts. So on today's show, we have Kandace with the K from Mobile, Alabama. Kandace, how are you doing?
I'm good. How are y'all tonight?
Doing good,
Doing good.
doing good. I'm gonna go ahead and let Tay kick off the show.
Okay, Candace, every show we start off with the conversation starters. So I have three categories. I'm going to let you choose the category, but we're all going to answer the question. So
Okay.
the categories are extreme personal questions, who's the biggest pervert, and the sexy 69 after dark.
The Sexy 69 After Dark.
Okay.
No big pervert.
Okay. Question is, could you be in a relationship with someone you're not sexually attracted to? Why or why not?
No, I could not. Oh, wow. Because I want to be sexually aroused. I want to get that urge, that feeling, and that sensation. Just when I look at you, I know sometimes I know conversation can do it too, but I want to get that physical. I want that physical about it. Yeah.
Uh, okay. I can smash somebody not physically attracted to.
Oh my God.
I can smash somebody I'm not physically attracted to. That's awful, but that's the truth. Um, I cannot be with somebody who I don't find physically attractive because honestly, it's not fair to them because anytime they're going to want to try to ask for affection, any type of physical touch or anything, I'm going to be like, ugh, and that's just not cool to do to somebody. So, yes, I mean, physical attraction is not everything. I definitely have dated people who aren't like 100% up to what I would consider my standards for looks, but they had to have something that I could, really say, okay, I can. They just couldn't be a one or a two on my scale for looks. It's just not gonna happen.
Right.
I feel you.
I know that was a, I, I know that was a terrible answer, but it's my truth.
Yeah, that's your answer. That's your
That's
answer.
right.
I could not be in a relationship with somebody that I'm not sexually attracted to. I and I've said this on here before. If I'm not sexually attracted to you, she won't work. And if she
Right.
won't work, then nothing's happening. So I need everything to
Exactly.
work in a relationship.
Mhm.
So here's a follow up question to that. You're with somebody, and then some things change. They start working out as much. They gain some weight. They start to look older. Are you gonna leave because the attraction goes away, or are you gonna stay?
I stay, but I'll let my concerns be known. Because I would let it happen when we were together. So I let my concerns be known, because if things start to happen, if he gains weight and he doesn't have that same sexual drive, or it's starting to shrink a little bit, stuff happening, then we need to have a conversation. So, I'm gonna put it out there. I'm gonna put it out there. I think I owe you that. I will put it out there for him. And if he makes a move, then great, we can work towards that. But if not, then it might be time to call it quits. We got to stick to the business.
Dang.
I get that. I could say, I think I have the ability. I mean, yeah, because I've been in a relationship with someone who gained weight during the time we were together, and his face still looked attractive to me. So I was still fine. But um, if it's something like weight or something that has to do with health, I will try to, like Kandace said, I will try to make suggestions, try to encourage them to make changes. But I would still be attracted to them.
I'm a big dude, so I ain't got no room to talk when it comes to that. But I would say that it's hard though. It's a hard conversation to have because some people respond to uh, constructive criticism in different ways. Some people may be like, you know what, I don't want my partner looking at me that way. Some people may be crushed by it and they may withdraw more. They may go further into doing things that are self-destructive. So you got to be real careful with that. And I think for me, the times where I have seen like people leave, their partner because they're just not looking the same as they used to. Normally, you know what I normally see? I normally see the woman because we talked about this Tay offline. Most of the time, dudes ain't leaving the woman. Most of the time it's women leaving men. Women are divorcing their husbands most of the time, and sometimes dudes are like low down and they deserve to be divorced. But what I have seen oftentimes is that woman has made a come up. She done started working out. She done, started doing tennis 4 times a week with the instructor. She lose weight, and people start saying, "Girl, you looking good." And then she starts feeling like I could do better than this cat. And then she rolls out. And you know what normally happens?
Mhm.
Her ass ends up being alone because all them people that was in her ear don't really want to be with her. And then she ends up being alone. She gained that weight back, and the dude go on and live his happy life with a new woman that accepts him for who he is. I'm the only one that's ever seen that.
Okay, with that conversation that was had offline, I didn't quite agree with men don't leave because there are many stories of men leaving women because their bodies have changed. I mean that storyline is
White
going.
boys do that. White boys do that shit. Brothers,
No, no, no,
brothers
no, no,
ain't
no,
leaving
no.
their ground. They just not. We not leaving our woman.
I don't know about that. I don't know about that. Especially after a baby is born, I've heard a lot of guys talk about that when a wife's body changes. So I don't agree with that.
I think a dude would step out before he would leave.
That may be true. I still don't think that he won't leave.
Okay. All right. Well, Kandace, I gotta be honest with you. Tay and I, this is what, episode 23? We 23 shows in the game. And I think outside of our very first episode, there hasn't really been a lot of nervousness between the two of us. But I gotta let you know, Kandace, that you have Tay and I a little bit nervous on this episode.
Why?
um, you know why. You know why. So for those who don't know, Kandace with a K from Lower Alabama is a minister, correct?
Yes.
How long have you been a minister?
I've been a minister for 17 years now.
17 years as a minister, and here we are talking about filth, flooring, and fucking, and we got a minister on the show. So that's why I'm nervous because y'all know my mouth and how I talk. But you know, damn, Tay, I'm nervous. I can't even.
Well, I guess my first question is, what made you want to be on this show out of all the podcasts out here?
My thing is, there is a great misconception about people in ministry. And I think that because when things that any other person can do, it's done by the preacher, done by the church girl or the mother of the church or just somebody that's in the church, particularly preachers though, it's all blown out of proportion. I can go and have an affair and oh, she this and that. I have a calling on my life, but I got the same sexual desires as you. I want to be flipped up. I want to be ate out. I want all this stuff. You know, I have the same desires as any other woman. I have the same pressure from the men like any other woman. So if you under that pressure, sis, if you getting that pleasure, then I'm getting it too. So, do you think that I have some superpower to turn it down, especially if I'm single, I'm cute, and I got my stuff together? They coming at me like they coming at the next woman. Sometimes I get it right and I shut it down, and sometimes I don't. But when I do, I show out like the next girl. So my thing was I wanted to let y'all know that just like anybody else listens to this podcast, I do too. I want to have the conversations. I want to kill the misconceptions with men that, you know, I'm not approachable or don't approach her because she's probably just this fragile box. If you get her in the bedroom, no, I'm the freakiest bitch in America. Do y'all feel comfortable since I said that? You know,
I'm ducking the lightning like for producing this shit. So go ahead.
but no, seriously, you know, sometimes you have to break the ice to say that to let somebody know, hey, it's okay to be comfortable. It's okay to be real with me. And to do that, a lot of times I don't even tell people I'm a minister or I'm in ministry. I let you either figure it out or you find it out. And if we get deep enough, I'll tell you. But I normally don't do that because I want you to be as comfortable with me as I want to be around you because sometimes people tense up around me, but I tense up around people too. So just wanted to be here to join in, to be regular.
Okay, so I don't know if people can tell that they should be able to tell. It's clear that you are a Southern Belle by your accent, and we talked about your being in ministry for 17 years. So when it comes to sex, how did you learn about it? Because I know that for me coming up, the lessons that I learned about sexuality, you know, approaching women, um, respecting myself, my body, respecting women, those lessons came from multiple sources, some good, some bad. I mean, you learn about sex in school, sex ed, but then for me, I learned a lot from my homeboys and older cousins and brothers. And sometimes it was good info. A lot of it was bad info. A lot of it was bad info. And you know, there's a lot of learning by trial and error. And I know that my cousins who are women, the lessons that they were given were much different. The parameters and the constraints that were put on them were much different than the ones that were placed on me. So you being a woman from the South, and we'll say that the South traditionally is more conservative. And I am assuming that, you know, if you called the ministry, you came up in the church. How how were you taught to approach sex and handle sex?
There were a couple rules. Well, my mom had the conversation with me when I became of age, you know, and girls coming to that age. And the first thing was I had rules. The rule was don't have sex, don't get pregnant, and that was it. So that's what I was taught. I was always told that you did not have sex until you got married, and then don't get pregnant. So that's what I knew. And the first time I thought I was ready to have sex. When I was in high school, I remember asking one of my friends who, out of a group of 5 of us, she was the only one that had had sex yet. So my initial orientation to what I do in the bedroom was nothing more than what she told me, which now that I look back on it was totally wrong. Um, and what I could sneak in and try to watch when my parents were away at work and I was the oldest of my siblings. So I would try to catch when they worked at night. I try to go and watch HBO shows that I knew had sex in it, or I would go and try to look in my dad's secret stash of porn magazines and see what was happening there. So what I initially learned was from that what I thought sex was. Now I didn't lose my virginity until my freshman year in college, and what I got from that was what he told me it was gonna be and what I should do and what the girls in the dorm that I confided in told me. So my initial education to sex came from just what I picked up off TV and what I heard from the girls on the block. That was it.
So, do you think the church has improved its approach to educating young women and men about sex? I mean, because I know obviously, the message is don't have sex until you're married, but there's a reality that I think we all need to face. And in the past, we had Michelle from Florida on, and she talked about, working with the churches and, being able to talk about safe sex and protecting yourself from, STIs and pregnancies and different things, but still maintaining the message of the church. Um, in your opinion, from your perspective, is the church doing a better job of educating young people when it comes to sex?
I believe that it depends on who is the person in charge of educating. For instance, I started out as a youth pastor. And when I started out as a youth pastor, I was given the age groups of 12 to 21. Most of the time, that's when they get curious, really curious about sex. And that's when the time they really start having sex.
That's when
And
the hormones are raging.
exactly. So I had a very good trust relationship with the youth I served. And therefore, when they did what I told them, whatever you want to talk about, no subject is off limits. And now these kids, now they're like adults now, but those kids would tell their parents, yeah, I'm thinking about having sex, but I told Miss Kandace, and she told me that I should talk to you. And the parents would be shocked that their kids would talk to me. And here's the thing, several things tie into that. You can sit here and have Lakeisha out here, let everybody bum rush her, and the first man that tell her that he loved her, and the next one just coming in raw dogging her. She got 4 and 5 children. She just out here just slanging and thinking that it's okay or whatever. Or I can empower her with education, build up her self-esteem. If you want to go there, let's do it, but let's do it safely. And then I don't want you to think that you got to be shamed about the fact that you did do it, because we have made the mistake of shaming people when they are sexually active or we find out about it. They're so shamed that if something did happen, do you know how many kids I ran into over my years in youth ministry that had STIs and they were scared to tell their parents, and other things spun off from that? That one child had infertility issues because she was scared to tell her parents that stuff was going on. So do I think the church is getting better about it? I think their eyes are opening because it can get deeper. You want me to be this perfect little um stepford wife, but yet and still you're not instilling the fact that the bedroom is undefiled, and that's scripture. So I can say confidently, I have to be the freakiest broad or whatever you need me to be. I need to be the hoe in the sheets and everything else for my husband, because that's what I'm instructed to do. So there are so many layers to it that we need to open our eyes up as a church, because we can save our children. We can keep them safe. We can keep them sound. We can help save some marriages. We can restore some marriages. We can help some people to get their life back in there, provide a heartbeat where it's a flat dead line in there. It's so many things that just opening the door up to sex and taking that little layer of taboo off, like it's a unspoken, subject that we don't deal with. You got to deal with it because it can open so many doors to healing and just letting people know, hey, this really is a place that I can come in and I can talk about any and everything. And we should.
You seem to have grown up very similar to me. in terms of dealing with the church. And I remember as a teenager, I always wondered why it was so taboo for people to talk about sex in church. It didn't make any sense, because whether you want to call it a sin or not, we talk about everything else. We talk about the whys and the why nots, but sex was just like, don't talk about it ever. And I've always had this theory that if we talk more, I guess it's not a theory because people do it who are not in the church. We talk to kids more about it, they'll be more likely to make an informed decision when it is time for them to have sex or whatever. I have a question though about the purity culture. The more I talk to women who grew up in the church, I'm finding that the purity culture has damaged a lot of women in terms of trying to turn that sex is bad stigma off once they get married. What are your thoughts about that?
I think it is. I was previously married before, and I believe that my ex-husband had that concept, and it caused us to have like standards and boundaries around our sexual life. So my sex life when I was married initially was horrible. We had 3 positions: missionary, from the back, and occasionally a ride. I love to give head. And it probably, out of 11 years being married, it probably happened maybe 5 times. Mm-hmm. And so, because he had this misconception, like she's pure, she doesn't know this, you shouldn't want to do that, just things like that. So I think that aspect for him it caused me some sexual frustration. I would hope it did him, but if it did, I don't know. But I think it did, because here's the thing: he did have some infidelities, and the women he would sleep with, he would do those things with them, but he wouldn't do it with me. So there was this wall that he built up, and I think it was built off of that. I didn't have a problem with it because I knew to separate it. I could hear my parents screwing at night in the other room. So I know it goes down. You know what I mean? I could hear my mom talking with my aunts and hear some of the things they were saying. So I know, I had a concept of what happens in the bedroom. So, I knew what to do. I had some women, when I did get married, that sat down and talked to me and told me, now, you don't go in there acting like, you Sister Kate. You go in there and you be whatever he needs you to be. So I had that. I just don't know if he was comfortable with that. And I think that is what messed him up.
So do you have a type? What's your type?
When you say a type, what do you mean?
I mean, it's not a trick question. I mean, everybody has a type. Do you have a type? Some people ain't got no type. They just do whatever. So do you have a type?
I have a type. You mean like just sexually or just my overall type?
Do you have a type in men?
Oh, yes. Here's my thing. I like to be, okay, so the dominant is the one who takes over, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
I like to be dominated.
Okay. Do you have a type when it comes to looks, personality, or what?
Personality, I like somebody that's gonna make me, that's gonna cause me to laugh. I want someone that I can have a good conversation with, and it can go in various areas. We can be hood, we can get churchy, we can get serious, we can talk about various topics. So I want somebody that I can have diverse conversations with. I like somebody that is not afraid to explore or push me beyond my limits or call me out on my bull crap. So I like that. I want somebody that's not afraid of Kandace the preacher, but that can deal with Kandace the preacher, that can deal with Kandace the freak, that can deal with Kandace the professional woman. I just need somebody that can deal with all of that, and just not be afraid or intimidated by it. I think that sometimes it used to be a time I would, like I said, I used to did not I wouldn't date you if I didn't know that you already knew I was a minister. But if you knew it, it was fair game. But if you didn't know, you didn't know. But that closed off a lot of opportunity. And I thought people wouldn't try to talk to me or date me because of that. It seemed like I'm a target now, like it's something to be conquered. So
that's
crazy.
that's they're right into where I was going. Do you feel you are a target? Do you feel like men look at you as a notch on the belt because you are a minister? And how can you tell?
It's a two-edged sword. I think that because I have a decent career and things, I think it can make me a target in two ways. Number one, because professionally, you know, you got some guys out here that's just looking for a target to try to, come up or do whatever or take advantage. So that could be one thing. So I have to look at it from that. Are you trying to take advantage from me from that standpoint? Or are you trying to see, can you go ahead and knock me off because she'll preach? I'm gonna see if she can fall like any other domino. So I have to look at that. I will say that notching the belt concept is more so examined for me with guys in the church because I know most of them, that's their MO. Because I don't, what's the term they say? I don't shit where I play. Yeah. I don't do that. So I know that anybody within the vicinity of churches that I've been in or been around, we don't play like that. So I know I would be a notch in the belt for them. But anybody else, you might sneak in and put me as a notch, but then again, you got to think about it. I may have made you a notch in my belt. So, go either way.
I need to edit that and say you don't poop where you preach.
She didn't say every other thing, so she fine.
I'm fine.
So how has your dating life been in recent years? Or to say since you've been divorced?
Oh, since I've been divorced, I have started to, I would say that I was sexually naive. I was,
Out of your divorce, you were sexually naive?
before my divorce and after my divorce, I was sexually naive.
How long you married?
I was married for 11 years.
How long you been divorced?
I've been divorced for 8 years.
Okay.
I've been divorced for 8 years. I gave myself a 2.5-year break after the divorce before I was sexually active with someone. Not saying that I didn't have some pleasure. It was self-inflicted pleasure, but I just, nobody was there. I didn't have anybody that I was intimate with. But after that, I got involved in a relationship, and that's when I started to bloom a bit. I started to grow and learn some things. However, there were some things that I did not know. I recently learned how to reach my own G spot if I was if I was pleasing myself. So I recently learned that. I think I was 38 when I had my first I was 38 when I had my first orgasm in the act of sex. So I had been sexually deprived. So dating since my divorce, it has been different. I really haven't. I can't say that I've dated. I waited those 2 years. I went into a relationship and was in there for about 4 years. It didn't work out. But otherwise, after that, it was just like, just live your life. And so really now I'm kind of just I'm happy with where I'm at. I'm happy trying to explore. If something happens, it happens. But I'm at the point now that I'm loving who I'm becoming in the bedroom, and I just like knowing what pleases me. So, dating is hard out here. It's not like what it was before. When I got married in 2006, we went on dates. We talked on the phone and stuff. It's a different world. Everything is so electronically driven. So it's a different world for me. The men are different. The concept is different. So I'm still learning. I feel like I'm maybe a sophomore in college now.
How does your spirituality impact your approach to dating?
So I have some hard no's. My first one is if you don't have a respect for God, just personally, I'm not looking for anybody to say they sold out, they a preacher or anything like that. But I know that I love God. I know that He's Lord and Savior for me. But you ain't gonna tell me, screw him. And I've had somebody tell me, well, I don't believe in God. I'm like, you know what? I respect that, but I respect my morals. And so I know that, I'm just not going to do that because you're not going to respect where I am. And he didn't respect my position in church or anything like that. So I don't force my spirituality or my relationship or the depth of my spiritual relationship on anybody. I think that's where a lot of people falter. They try to force where they are in Christ or their relationship, their Christian walk on somebody else. I don't do that. I don't do that. So that's something I don't practice. So I think that that's the first misconception that a lot of guys that I do come into contact with, they think that that's what I'm going to do. And I don't. You'll ask me, can you come to church with me before I ask you? So I want you to want it. I'm not going to force it.
Sound like you're a player, not a preacher, but go ahead, Tay.
Don't say that. Oh my gosh, you made me lose my train of thought.
A lot of preachers are pimps too, what I'm saying? There's a fine line between preaching and pimping, that.
So what have you learned about yourself since, I'll put it this way, since your sexual awakening?
Oh, Tay. I learned that I could get really good head. I learned I like to have sex, good sex. I learned that I don't like bad sex, and I know that I want it to be good. And I believe that's the reason why I was able to go the length of time I did, because I wasn't getting good sex for 11 years, so it wasn't going to hurt to wait that time anyway to make sure I had it all out of my system. And even now, if I wasn't sexually active, I'd be okay because I want it to be good. I want the experience to be great. So now I know that I consider my encounter an experience, and I want my experience to be the best thing. So I've learned that, I'm just learning different things about myself, and I'm okay with it. Like I told you, I learned initially from the girls, about sex, and the first thing, you don't suck dick, that's for hoes. You don't do that. Well, I guess I'm a good hoe then, because I like to do it, and I do it well if I do say so myself. So, just certain, I think I'm in tune with who I am. And so I don't fall for a lot of the bull crap out here. Just like he can get what he wants from me, I know I had that same capability and authority to get what I want from him. And I do it accordingly.
Okay. So what are some of the new things that maybe I should say, maybe what is one of your favorite things that you've learned since you've been awakened?
My favorite thing.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, what is my favorite thing? Let's see. This will be graphic. Tay, hold on to your pearls. That I can squirt. I didn't know that.
Okay. So Marvin likes squirters.
Marv, what?
Marvin likes squirters.
I mean, I don't have a problem with squirters. Squirters are okay with me. There's a joke there, but I ain't gonna do it because we already teetering on the line of these lightning bolts, and I'm not finna do that. So you squirt, huh? Now, Are you like just a waterfall, or are you a sprinkler system? Because there's differences. There's layers to the squirting.
Just coming to the horizon of noticing. Well, I found out, but I think it was a sprinkler system at first. But I believe I have the capability of dual action because I can cream and sprinkle. So it's like, yeah, I'm anointed.
Oh no! Oh no! That's too far for me. That's a lot. Oh my god. Okay, so all right, as a good Christian woman, are there any hard limits when it comes to sex? Because like you mentioned, like when you were married, you said there were three positions, right? And I know that there are some, I don't, not misconceptions, but some limits. I think it goes back. What did you call it, Tay? A purity complex, or
Purity movement. That was what it was
a
called.
purity movement, where even if a woman is married to her husband, there's some things that she's just not going to do. Like, I'm not going to go down on my husband, or I'm not going to do any type of anal play, or any other type of like BDSM, anything that's, you know, outside of the quote unquote norm when it comes to sex. From your perspective as a Christian woman, is there anything that you feel like, nah, that's a little bit too far?
For me personally, I would not, and this is just a personal preference. For me, well, let me say this from the purity complex. The only time I've always said this, and I say this as a Christian woman or just as a woman, I was taught this. The man that I'm with will never be able to say certain things that he had to go outside the house to get. You're never gonna say that I didn't talk to you. You're not gonna say I didn't screw you, and you're not gonna say I didn't feed you. Okay. And the only time I'm gonna withhold sex, I still don't understand that concept when women say they withhold sex, because my body is your body and your body is mine. And if they want to go to the scriptures right there, okay. With that said, I'm not going to withhold sex from a man. The only time I will tell you, hey, I need you to understand that I'm not going to give you none. And it wasn't even when I had a cycle. Because if you want to sit there, get the towel and let's go. Okay. But the only time I will tell you we're not going to have sex is if I was fasting, because during fasting, I'm abstaining from anything of pleasure, and that is pleasure. But once it's done, it's going down. But that's the only time. And I'm going to ask you then, hey, are you okay? If you like, it's a stressful week, okay, I'll fast next week. But that's what, that's the only time. And for me, that's my hard no. Now, my other hard no that has nothing to do with purity, it's just my own thing. I just don't want to have a threesome simply because I want all the attention and I want you to myself. So, like, I don't want to do a threesome. As far as anal, I mean, let me say this. I just think that that's going to be excruciating. So unless we can do some type of orientation on that and, a PowerPoint presentation on why, that will probably, take me to the next level of exploring my sexual pleasures and everything, I might have to pass on that one. But yeah, the threesome and potentially, I don't know. But yeah, the only time the only hard no I have is just, the only hard no, I'm a freak. No, I don't have a hard no.
So
I guess my hard no is a threesome. I don't want to do a threesome. That's my hard no.
So you gonna talk to him. You gonna sleep with him. You gonna feed him. But if he want a threesome or to get that booty hole, he can go somewhere else. Is that what you're saying?
He gotta go nowhere for the booty hole now.
I'll just messing with you. Well, I gotta admit, I had my reservations about this show. I really did because I know me and I know how crazy I talk. But Tay and I both are Christians, and our perspectives, our opinion about sex and dating doesn't mirror a lot of people's. But we still have a lot of respect for the church. And I'll just be honest with you, I just didn't want to do anything that would be considered like sacrilegious or disrespectful to the church. But I think that, matter of fact, I know that this conversation has been very enlightening, and I hope that any woman or any man that has listened to you talk about your experiences, um, talk about your perspective, I think it would help them. I think we did something that was really good with this episode. So, Kandace from LA, Lower Alabama, I really appreciate you coming on the show. But we always end the show the same way, and I'm gonna let Tay do it. I'm glad I ain't got to do it. I'm gonna let Tay end the show like we always do. Go ahead.
Before we get there, I did have one more question. Okay, so do you have any fantasies, any sexual fantasies that you haven't done yet? Something you've been thinking about or you've seen that you want to experience?
Hey, you're like my best interviewer in my head right now. Like you're pulling all this stuff out. Let's see, what's my fantasy? So, hope this helps somebody. That's what the preacher be saying. I want to get bent over a balcony. I want to get bent over a balcony, and if somebody's outside and see it, like I feel like that's gonna give me the rush, like just being free, not worrying about who's seeing me, and I'm getting it. And I have to say, very erotic. What I'm wanting to have done is like him beside, like me, just giving head, and him pleasuring me with his fingers, and I'm coming and he coming at the same time.
Mhm.
And when I swallow, he just give up the ghost and pass out. So yeah.
Oh, okay.
So that's what. Yeah.
Okay.
It's okay, Tay. It's okay.
Those sound very doable.
It's something about black women in these balconies. That seems like to be a recurring fantasy for a lot of black women. It's cool. It's cool.
Okay, so now for the nasty or normal. I'm going to give you a sexual situation and you tell me if for you it's nasty or normal. Now, I had this one already picked out and I think I may know what you're going to say based on one of your questions, one of your answers. So, wearing a butt plug, would you consider that nasty or normal?
Nasty.
Okay.
Why you consider it nasty? Because it has to. You're not into any type of anal play at all.
No, I'm gonna tell you why, and it has nothing to do sexually. I'll say this. I have a medical background as a nurse, so my mind automatically goes to stuff. And I'm thinking, ooh, I got E. coli sitting in my booty all day with that thing, or however long it's there. So I'm thinking, am I gonna have some type of GI dysfunction? Is my stomach gonna be messed up? I overthink when it comes to certain things. That's why I probably wouldn't be good with anal, because if anal would have to be the last thing we do, because I'm gonna make you get up and go wash your dick, and then you can put it back in.
Okay.
Because if I got crumbs on it, then I'm gonna end up with a urinary tract infection. So no, see, that's me thinking.
Well, you can't. You're not supposed to go from the back to the front anyway. Yeah, it's because of that reason. Yeah.
But see, you and I think like that.
See,
Marv, do you think like that?
I think Pastor Candace be out here raw dogging because all you gotta do is take the rubber off and put on the new one. But nah, you can't go back to the front. Nah, you can't do that. You know what? I'm not big into anal play either. I have a lot to learn when it comes to that. So, I would say that a butt plug I'd have to be with a woman that's probably more experienced with me than me when it comes to that. I think that probably would help me probably get more acclimated to doing anal play on the woman because I have no interest really on anal play on myself because I heard that in order to be able to enjoy it more, if you have any type of girth or whatever, that you have to stimulate that area so that it's easier to do what you got to do. So I don't think it's nasty. I do think it's normal. Just looking for the right person to educate your boy on. Leave a comment if you want to do that. If you're a woman only, please. Tay.
I don't consider it nasty, but it's not something I'm particularly interested in. I've done anal beads, but I've never done a butt plug, which is a little bit bigger. So, yeah, not for me.
It's funny how, people that we've had on the show that talked about anal play, all of them mentioned how like, yo, it's an incredible orgasm. It's like once you're able to get past that initial look at
I mean, I've done it before, so I can attest to that. But
yeah, but it's funny how, especially for us as guys, like I mentioned, I'm not interested in any anal play on me, but everybody has told me, guys who are comfortable talking about it and women who have done it with men, they say, yo, if a woman stimulates your prostate, you want to like come like extra hard. It's amazing. But I'm just not there. I'm not secure enough to be like, you know what? Go ahead and do it. Maybe if I go to another continent, I'll never see her again. But anyway, we talk about my business too much. Tay, you don't want me telling my business. I don't want to talk about that. Well, Kandace from LA, we appreciate you coming on the show. I think we want to have you back, because there may be some stuff that comes up when we talk about, sex and religion, and you really, I really enjoyed the things that you had to say. So Tay, another good show. Tell them they can find us.
You can find us at Conversate After Dark everywhere. And if you have a topic you want us to cover, you want to be a guest on a show, you have a story you want us to read, advice, maybe, you can reach us at CVAD, the podcast, at gmail.com. Make sure you like this video, share it, and subscribe.
Go to the website, share it, let everybody know about CVAD. We'll have you next time. Peace.
Bye.